Let's go Byron on this one. Walk us through your
Yeah.
process for building out a marketing schedule.
And I am going to do, I'll just share one piece here so everybody can
Before.
kind of follow along. Similar to what we're all doing right now, figuring out our business plan, right? One of the things, the TF business plan asks us all to do is map out what our perfect day looks like, what our perfect week looks like. And in terms of how we're going to market on Instagram and Facebook and all these different platforms throughout the year, what's our perfect week going to look like, and how many large pillar pieces of content do we have in that week? Meaning, how many shows is really the word you want to be looking for. How many shows are you going to be able to produce on a weekly basis, and what day are those shows going to come out? So if you look here, Monday, that's our, think of it as a question and answer show. You don't need, by the way, the audience, your public, the market that you're in, rather the consumers in your market, to be asking those questions. Just go right into your Google inbox, your Outlook, whatever you use for email, and take all the questions that you've been asked in 2020. And now you've got 52 weeks of content over 2021, right? What are seller concessions? All the different questions you get. That's a question a week show. We call it one question in 1 minute with One in Company. Okay. So One in Company is the team name there. That goes out every Monday. On Mondays, there's some of the fill-in content that Jill just showed. We try to engage the audience a lot, keep it light on Mondays with some type of poll. But on Tuesdays, we have another show, How's the Market? So that's our in-depth weekly review of what's happening in our market. That's a very simple on Zoom show where we go live through Facebook, through Zoom into Facebook. And we do a lot of screen sharing directly from our MLS. And we tell the public, hey, this is a inside look rather at our MLS and the real stats, right? And we always post our blog as well on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, this piece here, everybody should be R&Ding. Our weekly recap. We call it our One in Company week in rewind. It's the last 7 days of under contract, new listing, and closings, and any new prices. This actually, believe it or not, this one little piece of content is usually our most engaged and shared piece of content on Facebook every single week. It's a huge social proof piece. All the other listings are getting their own individual dark posts throughout the week. But this is our post. Yeah, so the dark post is where we're targeting a specific audience on Facebook with an ad, but it's not showing up on our social profile. Because we don't want, when you come and maybe you're just looking up One in Company through a recommendation, or you found us on Google and now you want to do a little bit of deeper searching talking about the consumer here, and they go onto our Facebook. We don't want them to just see new listing, close, new listing, under contract. I know, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So we want to just kind of recap that in one post, be delivering content that's useful for somebody at the top of the funnel, more of the exploratory phase. And so this piece here, the weekly recap, does that. We also have,
real quick, Byron, I want to make sure that point really resonated, because I get this a lot. People ask the question, they're like, I've got so many listings, it's clogging my feed on my Facebook page, on Instagram, etc., because I got so many just listed, just sold. And it's like, some of that's great, but too much it's basically gagging out or choking out all your other content from visibility. And so if you're doing, how many deals did you guys do this year, Byron?
We're at 286.
Yeah, if you have 286, that's a lot of posts for every single one of them, and each listing getting more than one post. So what he said is he's running ads. A dark post is a Facebook ad that's not published to your page. It's just an ad that's targeting some specific audience. That way it's getting the reach and it's being shown and all that kind of stuff, but it's not clogging up his content. And I love the weekly recap. And by the way, if you guys haven't watched Digital Domination, we just did it a couple weeks ago. You are talking my language right now, Byron, with this.
All right.
And you're kind of getting into my next question, but keep going, man.
Yeah, and
I got a bunch of questions from the Q&A that we'll get to in a second.
I could spend a bunch of time on the rewind. That goes back to our blog, and every single property is listed in there and linked back, obviously, to our website so people can see those actual properties. Our podcast, The Real Word, goes out on Wednesdays as well. So that's another one of those pillar shows, and I can get into why the shows are important in just a second. Thursdays, open house lineup, testimonial posts. Friday, Feature Friday. And then on Saturday, we have a radio show every single week, which we stream on Facebook, and then a Sunday shout out. So we've got here 1 with the radio, 2 with the real word, 3 with the market update show, and 4 on the Monday, 1 question, 1 minute, which are what I would consider the most important pillar pieces of content. Because, for example, the How's the Market, we can always get a really good blog, which ties into our newsletter, right? So whether it's your newsletter or another, platform to get information out to people, you need to fill that newsletter with something. You don't do that, in my opinion, without having pillar pieces of content. Your Instagram gets filled up by taking clips from your podcast, putting it onto Instagram. But how do you do this? How do you set it up? You say, what shows do I have right now? What shows do I need to create for 2021? Which days are they going to live? And then fill in the blanks from there.
Yeah, I love that. And if you, again, go back and watch, it should be available for, I don't know exactly the access, but Digital Domination, it was the first of our accelerated in series. We broke down building a content schedule. We talked about 3 parts to it. We talked about shows and series, which is like your pillar shows and series. Then we talked about deal data, which is what does your content look like around deals? And then we talked about the vault, which is like your shout out or your testimonials or things that are just kind of ancillary around the way. In building out a schedule, man, I love that. I love what you built there. And I think the idea of having that menu where you can show yourself a PDF that's like, ideally, this is what our week looks like as far as content.
And that'll start, obviously,
everybody.
That'll start on your, whether it's quarterly or yearly, however you do it, that's going to start on your whiteboard, and it's going to get into some type of Excel spreadsheet. And then, Jill just kind of made that look pretty for all of us to see.
Yeah.